Thank you, Dan. It's so nice to be here. And yes, you're right. Things have changed, shall we say, epically over the last 12 and a half years I've been doing doTERRA. And I feel like sometimes I've done just about everything imaginable to support my team, yet still growing, still discovering because things change, and you just look back and you're like, what do I keep? What do I add? What do I abandon? And even what do I return to? And truly, these last couple of years have been no exception to those kinds of pivots, as you've said. Things really were different. When my team was younger, I was like the mama bear, and we're like 5, 10, 30,000 team members strong. And even I would say at 100,000 members, I felt like we still ran with like the super tight leader squadron. Yet, as the years went on, rank advancements happened. Shall we say the kids grew up and moved out of the house, and I've really become a grandma in so many ways to so much of my team, and I love that. But I needed to pivot and have to stay in balance between being relevant and significant and impactful, yet really creating a space for my leaders to run on their own, really complementing their efforts, not getting in their way, and not competing with their growing leadership. One of my big pivots really is relevant to that point. We had a crazy successful collaborative weekly team call for 6 years. Yet, as leaders were feeling called to start their own team call, it actually made it hard for them to get their teams to shift. So, to empower them, I stopped that call for 3 years. And then, yet, as my M1 team was emerging, they needed and deserved a team call, that same kind of support. So, I started the team call back up again. And that combination really has worked marvelously. To better understand my next two pivot shares, I want to give a quick reminder of something we learned from Connie Podesta a number of years ago. Some of you remember her. And what she taught has really stuck to me. She said, the top 30% of your leaders are going to run on their own. They're going to run like rock stars. So stay out of their way and support them when and how they ask. The middle 40%, she said, will need support. So lock arm in arm and get in the trenches together. And the bottom 30, well, she said they'll most likely expect their upline to build their paychecks, and they might even become manipulative in the process. So she invited us to please not invest our time here. So pivot number 2 is that although we don't always see these groupings right away, over time we come to realize that in some cases, who we work with or who qualifies us just needs to change. So I found it to be super significant to utilize our placement exceptions and rollership change options, and I found these to be imperative strategies to keep parts of my teams thriving. And I'm super grateful to doTERRA's generosity because unlike most or all companies in our industry, they truly give us so many options for success. So for those who may not have mastered these strategies, I highly recommend you check out doTERRA's new tools at doTERRA.com. Super, super useful. And Dan, you and I chatted about this, and I think the conclusion to pivot number 2 is you figure out how to run with the runners and walk with the walkers, which really brings me to my third pivot share. What I've come to is like a slight change in Connie's philosophy when it comes to my own frontline leaders at this stage in my doTERRA business. And just so you know, I think this is relevant to my sharing. My front line, so many of them, they're just lifers for me, right? These are some of my very best and dearest friends. So finding ways to keep playing strong together is something I'm super highly motivated to do. So here's what I've discovered about my front line is they're split into 3 types. Leaders who are and want to be on their own, they ask for support when they need it, is perfect. Leaders that we've discovered we're actually better together, and we've gone back to working together, and it's been truly an epic difference for all of us. And third, I have those who are in seasons of their life that are super tough. They've had to step away. They don't have the wherewithal to show up great in both spaces. And so there I seek inspiration on ways I can serve them and yet also engage in plan B strategies to keep team stability. So in conclusion, pivoting for me has been all about observing, learning, adapting to the needs as the needs and desires of our team have changed and grown. And a big part of that has been to keep offering healthy environments where the runners keep running. And honestly, being in a few high caliber running groups for myself with upline, downline, crossline has been super significant for me throughout my doTERRA career, and very much something I encourage for my leaders to do the same, because you get such great pivot ideas from peers who might just be a chapter ahead of us and experiences that they're having. So I really hope this has been something that sparks some ideas or ways to help us, see our ways forward, and that perhaps a chapter ahead on my part will help some of you as you come to places in your doTERRA career where these kind of changes will be useful. Thanks, Dan.